But anyway,
we're back, special edition podcast with Ted Siegel. We came back. It's a debriefing, essentially, of our barbecue odyssey that kind of got shortened.
Yeah, what were we going to call it? The D-barbecue debriefing?
Yes.
Barbecue debriefing.
And then after that, a week of debeefing.
Yeah, no, it was necessary after what we went through.
You guys going to have like colonics or some shit now? You guys
No, I think
thoroughly beefed?
No, I think my colon survived it.
Steve truly was punished on this
But
trip.
I was. It got me. It really got me. I don't know how you want to do this. If you want to ask us, or
real hard.
Tell me about your experience.
So
walk me through it.
We kind of eased our way into it. We got in there, and we decided to go to we had some friends that lived out in just bought a brand new ranch in Llano, or outside Llano.
Okay.
So we went to Cooper's. I wanted to say DB Cooper's. DB Cooper's. No. And so that was our first kind of Texas barbecue joint experience where they have all the smokers like outside in the rectangle.
Yeah, it was
pits.
great.
You guys really excited?
Oh, yeah. And just seeing the guy just right there chopping everything, I'm like, oh, shit.
Basically, have you been to Cooper's?
I haven't been there, no.
Cooper's is good.
Yeah, they had everything.
Like
yeah.
They had quite a variety.
What town is that in?
Llano.
It's like 30 minutes, 40 minutes maybe west, kind of northwest of Austin.
I've heard Cooper's is good.
Yeah. There's one in Austin, too. We just went to the one in Llano.
Kind of the same way there's a Blacks in Austin as well.
Oh, okay.
But and that was our first kind of experience, and that was kind of one of those like, oh, that's a lot of food.
Yeah, we definitely overordered a little bit. I ended up buying like $90 worth of barbecue.
That's super classic, man. That's what everybody does.
And I don't think we ate breakfast. I didn't eat breakfast. I think I just had
the next day.
No, I ate breakfast. I didn't eat breakfast that day.
That day.
Eyes were hungrier than my stomach, I guess. But you don't. They had so many different things. That was a place they had more of the chops involved. Their claim to fame was like pork chops. And I don't know.
Were they good?
We didn't have them. We just stuck with the brisket ribs.
Yeah, we wanted to do like the.
Oh, that's too bad. Yeah,
we're kind of
should have tried it, but
that's their thing.
Yeah,
I didn't know that was their thing at the time.
Smoked pork chops can be really good.
Yeah,
if they're done right.
They had a ribeye there too, and I was tempted, but I don't think they had one ready to go.
Huh?
But
yeah, I know Smitty's does a prime rib.
Yeah. And so that was one of those first times. Okay, here we go. This is, I think my favorite spot about the whole place. My favorite thing about that whole place was when you got the white bread, right?
He's got the white bread.
In the bag. They had a bottle of Parquet, which I've never seen in years.
Squeeze fake butter or whatever.
Margarine.
Yeah.
You ever heard? You ever had Parquet?
Sure, I've had Parquet.
I was just like, oh shit.
Yeah, no, that's how you know we're at a. We're not in California.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. There was commercials in like the 90s, and I just remember like, Parquet.
All right, so you go to Cooper's, then what?
And then
so the next place was
Salt Lick.
Salt Lick, yeah.
Salt Lick, okay, Salt Lick's good. Yeah, we didn't even talk about Salt Lick.
I don't think it got mentioned because of the time constraints that we had.
Yeah, the original plan was to be in Austin, I think, for only 2 days.
2, maybe 3.
Yeah, Salt Lick's good. I would say if you don't want to have to wait in a line,
Yeah. That was kind of nice. It was a sit-down sort of joint. I was sort of confused. It kind of had this expansive winery set. That whole...
Yeah.
I wasn't sure, like, what the status...
It's kind of a more modern kind of...
Yeah, it felt more like almost like Santa Barbara County.
Yeah.
Well, it's catering to people that want to go and have like a sit-down meal, barbecue.
Yeah. I liked their indoor pit, though. That was cool. They had the whole fire pit thing going. Yeah. And the sausages hanging from the chimney, the top of the canopy of the
that's kind of like how Jocko's is. You guys will see.
We got, what was it called? Like the Rancher's plate?
It was a sampler thing. We both got a sampler.
Okay.
Yeah, so it came with the turkey, the sausage.
That was the only place we got turkey.
And the ribs. Their ribs were really good.
Ribs were solid. I think.
No, did you actually take notes? Nice.
All right, Steve, taking notes on barbecue.
It's what we were there for.
This is my whole studio notes too.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I have all my plans and flow charts and. I don't have any notes on this actually.
While sleeping, you were dreaming about taking notes.
No, I took notes. I didn't have any notes on Salt Lick. I just know it was in drift.
No payoff.
I know. Well, I have more.
Leaving us high and dry, dude.
It was more important to get the Lockhart notes down just because I wasn't sure if I could remember it, because I think my vision of Lockhart gets blurrier as the day went on. But I think that was the notion. I think the real thing that I noticed is that the Texas barbecue style was so much in the spicier direction.
Which is awesome.
Which is the like jalapenos in the beans, and the beans weren't they weren't sweet baked. It was just like they may have been baked or
the sausage and the sides are definitely in the spicier realm.
Which is I kind of appreciated that more. I go, oh right, like it's
they're really the only region of barbecue I've ever been to where they really have spiciness ingrained in there.
Yeah.
They have like spicy barbecue sauces and stuff. Because in the Carolinas and Kansas and Memphis,
it gets sweeter and
they're pretty much all pretty sweet. Yeah. You know, it's all pretty sweet stuff.
Yeah.
You know,
and I think that's kind of what that was hitting home to me, is for me why I would, in theory, because we haven't been to the other places. The only other place I've been to is Kansas City.
Yeah.
And that one's a little bit. I was too young to know the difference between the different regions and what they preferred and styles, and you know, they don't really have a distinct style. They just say we do everything and everything better.
Yeah. So Salt Lick, and then
that's the next day we did the tour de force in Lockhart.
Yeah, beef tasting.
The beef tasting.
We didn't bring our bucket, and
we were like, should we bring this bucket? So we did like a wine tasting where they could spit out the wine.
Yeah, so you don't get too drunk early.
Too drunk.
Well, the tip is just to not order too much.
Well, you warned us,
and we basically got a quarter flat, quarter point, like a link of sausage, which may have been too much, but the link of sausage and one spare rib each. That was our portions until Black's, which is a different story.
Yeah, well, that's how you always go. Yeah, that's your last stop.
Maybe it was just the fact that we had been eating barbecue for the 2 days prior, but man, it just caught up with us real quick.
Yeah.
Well, we weren't eating anything else.
Yeah, that's also true.
Yeah, that's a lot of barbecue, man.
The first place we went to is as per recommendation. We went to Smitty's first.
Awesome sausage.
And I think the sausage was our favorite there. I think they didn't have cheddar, and that was just jalapeno and brisket trimmings.
Yeah.
And so they didn't have any cheddar.
I like the brisket trimmings one there.
Yeah.
That's my favorite.
Yeah, I think that sausage took home the cake there. The ribs were okay, but the brisket was on the drier side.
Yeah, that's usually the case with Smitty's.
Okay, so I wasn't sure if that was like, it was a bad day with the brisket, or we got the late end of.
Sometimes you go good. What time did you arrive there?
We arrived there, I think it was 12:30 or 1.
Yeah, that's
somewhere around there.
That's in the prime time. They must have just been having an off day.
Yeah.
Their pendulum kind of swings. I've been there like 3 times, and I'd say 2 out of the 3, it wasn't super great. Mm-hmm. One time I was there, it was overcooked. One time I was there, it was dry. And one time I was there, and it was pretty good. So it's just, that's only 1 out of 3 times the brisket was pretty good.
Yeah.
But the sausage is always good there. And I remember their ribs being pretty decent too.
Yeah.
You go there first because it's not the best of the best.
Right.
So you can kind of crank it up. And it's also the coolest Lockhart experience.
Yeah, it's awesome.
How they're doing it.
That room is great.
Yeah, it's so cool, right? They're real weird about their rubs though in Texas. They never they're very proprietary, and the rubs that they sell are never their actual rubs.
You mean the salt and the pepper?
Yeah, and that's the other thing too, is it's usually not much of anything.
Yeah, and
Black's has some proprietary rub.
Maybe some paprika, maybe.
Yeah, it's all it's all bullshit.
Yeah,
because it's all just about
Next one was Cruz.
Okay, how was that?
Cruz was a step up. I think the brisket was a lot better.
Definitely.
It was good.
I even kind of like that. I like Cruz as a marketplace too. I know it's not the original kind of building, wasn't as vintagey, but it's had that kind of shack in the middle of, it's this giant cabin that just, when you're driving into Lockhart from Austin, you're like, oh, there it is. It's like this giant monument to oak.
Oh yeah. Well, that's where Franklin worked. He worked at Cruz. And he talks about it in his book about how he envies their wood supply there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because they have this epic supply of oak there.
It's
Lipset
certainly
took a
epic.
picture of the wood supply. I
I
took
mean,
a picture of him.
anyone would. That's
I
like
took a picture of
epic.
him taking a picture of the wood supply.
I burned my last couple logs of oak too on my last big cook. And so I'm currently in search. I would love to have a stockpile of oak like that. Oh my God, man.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And their sausage was also
fucking
awesome.
awesome.
Yeah. And they had the cheddar jalapeno. I think that was one of those things you were pretty big on
Yeah,
as well.
yeah, that's a big thing.
Yeah. And I think at this point we were I was feeling pretty good.
I could kind of tell that I knew for blacks I wasn't going to be as hungry as I wanted to be, but I was like, fuck,
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I
What
mean, the
are
cool
we
thing
gonna
about
do?
blacks was I should have mentioned this, is that they stay open the latest and they have the largest supply of things.
Yeah.
So you probably could have hung out in Lockhart for a couple of hours.
well, that's actually what we attempted to do.
Yeah.
Once
Oh,
we
you
were
guys
done with
did that.
crows, we
We-
went on a hike.
we went out to the state park and trenched around in the mud.
It wasn't the best idea to do that hike. I'll just say that. I didn't achieve any of the goals we thought it would.
Yeah, because we were done and then we were like, all right, let's go back.
Yeah.
So we finally
'Cause our plan was to go out on Rainy Street that night. So that's why we probably, were more pressed for time and not just, sitting. We could have sat somewhere for maybe longer. And before we done blacks, we were kind of like, we got to do it and then get back to
Sure.
downtown. So, but that's what we should have done. Really, the whole problem was the spacing of everything. It was all so close together, like if we could do it again, we probably would have done maybe on Tuesday, Smitty and Cruz, and then come back for blacks, and then Franklin after that, rather than all three in one day, the next day Franklin,
Yeah.
It was a lot.
Yeah. I mean, really, if you really had the ultimate way to do it would be to go do Lockhart all in one day and really pace yourself. So don't eat too much, like
Yeah,
just one
have like an
slice
eighth,
of
yeah.
everything,
Yeah.
and
we
then
were sharing about a quarter pound.
Yeah, it's
half a
between
pound,
three guys.
okay, that's
And we
not
weren't
too
like
bad.
we weren't finishing it all either. We kind of like okay, stop when that point comes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but doing
'cause-
Lockhart in one day and then to take a full day off.
Yeah, I think
And
that's
then the
yes.
next day go to Franklin would be the ultimate way to do it, but that's like a 3-day thing,
Yeah, and I think and that really kind of does bring us to blacks, and I think
which
I
was
feel-
fucking awesome.
I have a more bittersweet approach to this whole
Yes,
thing because
Steve was just kind of
I can't remember exactly how everything was at blacks because I just remember the beef rib was the size of my face.
that giant rib.
And I had to
was-
have it, and I could barely get into it. The brisket was awesome. The ribs, I think, were awesome. I can't. It's that point where I asked Brian, my memory really does blur out because I'm just like, oh.
Yeah, Steve had the equivalent of blacking out on beef, I think.
You went on a beef bender.
Yeah, the heartburn was coming in. It was I think when you said the 1,000-yard stare at blacks, that was not too far off. We're just like that kind of.
Oh, it's too bad, man. Blacks is so much fun.
I loved everything about it, though. I love.
Oh yeah, it was fucking great.
I love the
Supposedly they have music there sometimes. I've always wanted
I
to
believe
play
that.
there.
Yeah. Like I said, I was telling you earlier, like the moment we walk in, it's George Jones. He stopped loving her today. I was like,
Yeah.
fuck yeah. Like,
Yeah, it's super country in there. It's a fun place to go. I always love going
I
to
think
Blacks.
they had Merle Haggard's Okie from Muskogee.
I mean, honestly, you could just
Sides
go
are
to
great, too.
Blacks.
That's
The
our
only
plan
thing
next time.
That's not like so great about Blacks is just that they don't have like the best display of their pit. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you don't really get to enjoy that.
I
And
think-
because they're built like for super duper for efficiency.
Yeah.
Blacks used to be like a legit market.
Mhm.
It used to be like a grocery store.
Yeah. That felt more, Smitty's and Crust felt more like the grocery stores
Yeah.
and less like the restaurant.
Yeah, I think with Blacks, the restaurant's really taken over. But if you walk around in Blacks, what's really funny is you can walk into this room that's like an offshoot of the dining hall,
Yeah.
and it's
yeah.
this gigantic room that used to be
Right.
a grocery store, and they're like got
Oh, okay.
nothing going on in there now.
I was curious. That's my next question was like, Cruz had something like that too, where it looked like a banquet center that wasn't being used.
Yeah.
Like a whole, just like, yeah, this is our, like the community center for when, like, the town hall gets together for, like, Easter Sunday or something, and they just have a little...
Yeah, they must have such big, like, events at those places.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine. I remember reading about Kent Black's obituary. You know,
Clint Black's not dead.
I'm not well
You can
versed
see
enough in
how
country
close
to
it could
even-
be to do, you know, how getting that name just, you're like one letter off.
Clint and Clint.
Yes.
Yeah, I could see that.
That was a joke.
But yeah, I was reading his obituary, and it said that they were going to have a service barbecue to follow.
Fuck
Oh,
you.
shit.
You know? And I was like, man, that must have been the most epic memorial service barbecue. They must have gotten down, man. I mean, I can't even imagine the whole Black's catering. Must have been nuts, you know.
So,
But they're a barbecue family through and through,
Oh, yeah.
man. I mean, they're third generation.
and they were also they were actually out of sausage there, or out of jalapeno sausage. So I don't think
Really?
I got any sausage.
That's unusual.
Yeah,
They're
skipped
usually
over.
not out of anything.
They were.
I think they were out of the turkey.
They were out of
Isn't
the
that what
turkey.
it was?
Oh, that's too bad,
But
man.
I didn't get-
really
I was-
like the turkey there.
Yeah, the jalapeno cheddar. They didn't have the spice, whatever the spicy sausages they had that I wanted. They didn't have.
Oh, that's a shame, man.
Yeah, but I love the sides. I love the.
Sides were awesome.
You know, they seem to be kind of the most bona fide, like, barbecue restaurant in the restaurant term,
Yeah.
where you have the souvenir cups and the overall vibe about it on the place.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
But I like the guy chopping up everything who's just,
Yeah, definitely want to
have-
go back to Black's
yeah.
when we are in Texas again.
What'd you like at Black's, man?
I was also kind of in Steve's, haze, not quite as much. I really liked the ribs and the brisket. That was the first time that I think the brisket really jumped out at me, like on another level. Because the ones at Smitty's was kind of dry. Cruz, I didn't have as much of it because I wanted to pace myself for Black's brisket. But that was where I started to realize, like, oh shit, fucking, because like
I think it's the best brisket in Lockhart. I mean, everybody says, a lot of people will say Cruz has the best brisket.
I
But
was close to saying Cruz.
I've only been to Cruz once, and it wasn't. I think I caught him too late in the day, and it just wasn't that very good.
Black's brisket was awesome because with the time Steve had made it, I had never had brisket before, so I hadn't even had it up until whatever the first time you made it was, probably last year.
The first time I made it, I even attempted any brisket was in February, and then I made 2 more attempts that were not as good. And then Ted and I did the Thanksgiving roast up here. We haven't really mentioned we're in your wonderful studio in Mulholland.
It's quite nice.
In the mountains here.
Yes.
And we did the smoke, which kind of was like a refresher on making sure it gets the apple cider vinegar spray and every 3 hours. And
Yeah, we could do a thing sometime.
yeah, I'd love to do a cooking with the beefers with you in there.
Oh yeah, we gotta do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. My brisket's gotten pretty good, man. I
want to try it.
I got the trimming down, which I finally got a good deboning knife where I can really trim brisket properly.
Nice.
And then I did one more cook for our definitive Christmas party, which
Our
is
old band.
our old band.
The
Basically,
Definitives.
our group of friends in Ventura kind of get together at my house for a Christmas party.
Yeah, it's usually like a
And-
gift giving thing too.
Nice.
And that was the last time I cooked anything in that smoker, actually. But it was actually the best brisket I made in that smoker up to that point,
Yeah.
which was like, it was like the feeling of like that kind of, like it worked,
So
because it was like I was taking a risk because I didn't have any oak, so I was using like mesquite chunks, and I had to, which may have helped because it was a really cold night, and it was having a hard time getting it above, like, even into 250. It was like 225 was just where it was hovering, so it was really low and slow, and it was like just making sure it was keeping warm. It was starting to like die off. So
Yeah, that can be tough, man.
yeah, that was quite the challenge.
Well, mesquite, I mean, in Amarillo, that's what they use.
yeah, you got the
Tyler's.
perfect shirt for this podcast.
Half my wardrobe is like barbecue stuff. so-
Amarillo, is that what that says?
Yeah, this is
Amarillo,
this is
Texas,
Tyler's my
Barbecue.
favorite in Amarillo. He's the man. You guys will get to try him.
He's the one we
soon.
have to name drop with you in there.
Yeah, he knows me. He's a super nice guy. He's our avid follower on Instagram.
Wonderful.
Nice. Yeah, everyone we met at all of these joints were also
they're all
super nice.
fantastic,
Like
yeah.
that was
was
great. But
So-
why I bring up Steve's brisket is I hadn't really ever tried brisket before Steve's, and not that Steve's was bad, but I didn't it wasn't like blowing me away because I didn't know how to appreciate brisket really. So doing this trip, I really started to connect. I was like, oh, fucking brisket is awesome. Because like I usually am not like too much of like a fatty cut kind of guy, but seeing these awesome places and tasting, I'm like, okay, I'm getting into this.
Yeah.
So Black's, the brisket there was fucking awesome.
Well, it's just brisket is so hard.
Yeah.
And there's so many people that do it so poorly.
Yep.
Yeah.
That I feel like the general conception of brisket is not very positive.
Yeah. No,
People usually don't think that it's good.
My family, not that I was a picky eater anyway, but I don't think I ever saw them order brisket when we'd go out and get barbecue at various places because they probably just didn't realize, the potential it had.
When there's people that like cook brisket at home, like in the oven and stuff, and that's just like so shitty,
Well,
In the oven.
Like the majority of people cook brisket, they cook just the flat,
yeah.
and they cook it in the oven,
For St. Patrick's Day, like corned beef and cabbage.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can do corned beef, and that's a whole thing too.
Yeah.
But
Although, like, there's also, not to get like too off on a tangent of just brisket topics, but like, there's also the pastrami and corned beef concepts that like Jewish delis kind of, that's all steamed.
like Katz and no, they smoke.
That's smoked.
Yeah, Katz and Langers both smoke their pastrami. Yeah, it's slow cooked.
Nice.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
That's the place we're going to have to go to. I want to check out Langer's.
Yeah, so he wants to go to Langer's too, so we might just do a group thing.
Langers is really good. Dude.
I don't know. We actually have time before you leave for Europe. But
Oh, I'd love to go to Langers with you guys, man.
Yeah.
Langers is like it's the one of the best meals you can have in Southern California, man.
Yeah.
I think it's better than Katz in New York too.
Katz
Really?
is still in my memory of being like just amazing.
Have you still not been to Langers?
No.
Oh,
I was waiting
dude,
for the
Gotta go to
initiation
Langers.
of going with either you or Eric, or we're making a thing of it.
Oh, it's
Because
the
it's
best.
such a trip down to like Pico and
It's a pain in the ass.
Second
to
in
get down
Alvarado is
there.
such a good.
The ultimate is to take the train down there.
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
Wait, are you talking about the Santa Monica train or just the
Yeah,
red?
you can take the Santa Monica train and you can connect to a bus or another train that will take you right there.
Yeah. Well, maybe we should do that.
We definitely
soon.
should.
We should do that soon. Although we'll talk more about that later.
The Langers is, oh my God, man. It's so ridiculously good. It's so good. It's so good, man.
So now I think we're getting to the highlight of the whole show is me and what was the beef punish?
Beef punished Steve on this.
The beef was getting
Lockhart
its revenge.
Trip. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
so
he was-
so here's the thing. We had like five joints in
3 days.
3 days.
5 joints in 3 days.
5 joints in 3 days. And it was like just sort of, there was a point where I was starting to get kind of like, after we got to Black's, I didn't have a lot of sleep, I think.
Yeah, you were sleeping pretty poorly.
I wasn't
You're
sleeping
a little
well.
bit more of a princess. We were sleeping.
don't-
I got sleep on anything. We had these like kind of crappy inflatable mattresses that were small and
Yeah. And so I think there's just a combination of me just feeling that churn of like both the acid buildup and the heartburn.
Did you get the kefir and the Tums?
I got the Tums.
Yeah, kefir and kombucha I'd recommend better.
I
with
got
the
some booch as
barbecue.
well. So
Yeah,
we
you
get
wanna-
back to my aunt and uncle's, and Steve's gonna try to sleep for a little bit while I'm hanging out with my cousin.
and I wanted to get some sleep because I knew I wasn't getting a lot of sleep. That I wanted to be able to go out that night, and also I'm not sure how much sleep I was going to get that morning.
Sure.
Didn't really get a lot of sleep. I just kind of had that sort of like
Was lying in pain.
lying in pain. I'm trying to remember what that feels like. I'm trying not to.
I don't think you want to remember what.
I know. I don't think I have
Oh,
it.
dude.
But it was like one of those like, oh, and it was.
Next time you hit that plateau, man, just fucking go to like a Walmart, dude, and just get a big jug of kefir and some kombucha, dude, and
yeah,
chug
like
that
I
shit
said,
down.
the booch came later, but I eventually did get some because
Settle your stomach and shit all that out of you, and then reset for the next day.
and this we don't even get to the part of Franklin's yet, but we're basically like I get up and
You should cut the digestional part out of it.
yeah, it's fine.
Nobody's gonna want to hear about you guys. Hey, you guys couldn't take a shit on your barbecue tour.
It's real
There's
nitty gritty
parts-
details.
There's a couple reasons that may have been for the
Just
best. I wasn't really comfortable taking. Yeah. Anyway, I get up. I'm just not feeling well. I like. There's
Yeah,
only
I find
one.
Steve outside with this weird look on his face, and I'm like, "Oh shit! Did like he get a call from someone and like something happened?" But no,
It was a strain. There was something that really kind of clinched it all home.
They clinched.
Yeah,
You
'cause-
clinched.
oh yeah, the smell of the house. Yeah, there's like
So-
seven
so-
cats that live there.
Oh,
Yeah, 7
Ugh.
cats and a couple cockatoos, and it's not really well kept. Did they listen to this podcast at all?
No.
Okay, the house was not really well upkeep. It was not well kept together and
yeah, that
tidy.
doesn't sound good.
It's that smell, and then on top of that, they I could tell they reheated the barbecue in a microwave and put barbecue sauce in there.
Oh yeah.
So you imagine like your basic case, like it was so like
Just imagine you walking out
Casey
like
barbecue.
being assaulted.
And so I go outside. I walk into the outside the room, go into the living room. I say hi to his family, and they go, "Hey, Stu, how you doing?" I'm like, "I'm good." And it's that, and then I just walk right outside because they have this kind of like they're right off the highway, Highway 71, and it's got this nice sort of like. It kind of reminds me of like an English manor where there's like a nice circle in the driveway in the dirt. You could round about and go out, and there's this tall grass on the side of like a railroad tie. Being held back by a railroad tie, and I just go get it all out. I just expel that stuff. It just,
Oh, you yacked.
it was,
Felt pretty bad for Steve.
and that's why I felt pretty bad for blacks because that was just like, that was probably as much as I could hold on to,
Yep.
and it was one of those things, and it was that sort of smell just clenched it, like, oh god, like it just smells it like.
Yeah, I don't
It's
know. I don't-
smell of barbecue
I
in
don't know
Mark's
if you want to
territory,
include
man.
this, man. I don't know if you want to include. I ate so much barbecue, I yacked. I don't know if that's really like.
I think it's in
We're just telling the story as it happened.
As it
we
happened.
can edit it later.
yeah, and it's nothing. It's nothing against like.
I will give you a star though for still going to Franklin after that.
Yes, yes.
If you would have bitched out, I would have been really disappointed.
Yeah,
you could have
about
right
that.
there.
Yeah, so that's one of those things where.
Did you have a lot of sides at Black's? Did you eat a lot of
I
sides?
didn't. I had beans and the pudding. I think that's it. Maybe some beans, green beans. I want to get like a vegetable in there somewhere because
The pudding, maybe the pudding may have laid you out.
it could have.
That was a really good pudding.
I knew
Yeah.
I knew from earlier experiences of us going to like some barbecue joints around town that like the mac and cheese was like not a place to go to. Like you just
It'll fuck you all up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So-
never a good call.
I laid off that for sure. But anyway, that was so I had to kind of recover myself just to go out that evening. So I got I went out to the store, got some kombucha, and got my appetite back and everything, and we made it work. We kind of stayed up too late.
Yeah, we were up till like 3 a.m.
Yeah.
This is kind of a good decision.
Oh man.
Here's the thing, man. This is one of those conversations where I'm not that drunk, but Eric is.
Oh yeah, and it was.
And so we get into these
We
like
finished the handle that we started the day before. Me and Alex, we
and I'm trying
finished
to
it, went out to the bar, and then now it's like 2 a.m. or something, and I'm just rambling.
Yeah, he was going on and
I was like trying to give Steve like tax advice or something. It's
Yeah.
really retarded.
and I was trying to make sure he could, trying to tell him to save his money so he could do this again.
Yeah.
Because that's what happens. We end up getting in these like just like 15 to 20-minute arguments about whatever,
They're always
That's how it happens when I'm like super sober and he's like
Steve's
super not.
getting ready to drive home. I'm ready to go upstairs and go to bed.
So anyway, we were up till 3. So we have like 2 hours of sleep to get, for Franklin's. I get up at like 5 or
God,
whatever
that's terrible.
to get sort of going. No, we pushed it till 6. We were like, okay, we were doing the sort of research. I remember in your head about getting there by 7, correct? On a Friday, or was it 6? 7. And I think somewhere along the line we rationalized it into going to 8 because Friday was technically a weekday. And they
Yeah,
said,
we got some
"You'll be
bad internet
fine."
advice.
You'd be fine by. And I'm waiting for this point in the interview where like, I told you so, guys. I told you like that. I could hear Ted's voice sitting in the chair going, man, you should have. told you to go at 7, guys. Like, come on.
We show up literally right at 8 o'clock, and they
Yes, at
hand the
tail
last
end of
man standing or whatever plaque to a guy like 6 people in front of us. Not in front of us, behind us. We like barely make the cut.
Oh.
Right at 8 a.m. You know, we're at the very, and there's still like 30 people
walk
after
up
that
and they go-
guy, you know, just holding on over.
Yeah,
Well, and what sucks about that too is that means you guys are getting like the last cuts.
Exactly. By the time
and they go,
they,
you may not get the ribs.
yeah,
There's a good chance all you have left is brisket and sausage. I'm like, Ted told us not to don't worry about the sausage too much. So get.
You guys pretty butthurt at that point.
I was a little bit.
Steve was definitely the most part.
I was probably the most butthurt. Lipsit was like, I don't know if it's. He was like, dude, I don't know if it's worth 6 hours of waiting. I'm going, we're fucking doing this.
Yeah.
I don't know what the because here's the thing: you sit in a chair for so we get there.
It's
we
pretty
get there
chill.
at 8.
It's a pretty chill waiting.
You
You
get there
guys
at
had
8, you have
chairs,
3
right?
we have 3 hours to kick it in the same spot, and then after that whole thing you move up chunks of the line.
Yeah, it's not like super gnarly.
No, it was pretty cool. And then I actually got a chance to meet Franklin
In the line?
in the line. He was getting coffee, and then someone was getting a pickup order. And so he was like personally taking care of this pickup order. And I think they were talking about some truck. And so some people were getting like pictures taken of him with them. I really wasn't as interested in getting a picture taken, but I had the book. I have my copy of the book with me because, you know, we had this English couple that was like, oh, what's this all about? You know, we were told they were going like a foodie adventure because they just got back from San Antonio. And they were
Yeah,
going,
the girl had been out drinking later than we were. So
Yes.
it was
And so she was like, she was in the fetal position when we because she got in line after us, and then she just like dropped in the fetal position like on the concrete because she was cold.
Oh,
Yeah,
geez.
And we knew it was going to warm up that day too. So it's like, so I gave him the book, and she goes, "You should have him sign the book." I'm like, I don't know about that. It's like he's busy. I don't really. So I finally just like, okay, fuck it, I'm gonna do it. So because I had grabbed my book and sort of waited for him to finish his conversation. Right when he was walking past, going, hey, do you mind signing this really quickly? He's like, yeah, sure, man. What's up? How you doing? I'm like, I'm great. I'm glad to be here, you know? And he goes, all right, who do I make this out to? What's your name? I go, Steven. I go, PH or V? And I sort of usually say thanks for asking out of courtesy because most of the time I wouldn't care. Although he's writing it down, so that would make sense. And then so he starts writing it in a V and goes, oh shit. Like, so I have this thing where it's scribbled out like, and then puts the PH over it instead of very kind of messy, but it's
I
enduring.
mean, honestly, I wouldn't have him write it to anybody because if you ever wanted to, resale,
Why would I want to resell that?
you never know, man.
He signed the book. I don't know what exactly he said, like easy or something with an AF. His initials.
yeah, it's not easy to make out.
Easy
whatever
as
he wrote.
fuck is what it stands
Easy
for.
as fuck.
Although Aaron Franklin makes sense, I guess. But anyway, that was kind of the fun. Like, all right, I got to meet him. He was right there, and he's cool. He's like, he has like really no like. He's just a really obsessive, happy dude. And then
What's up, John? Yeah,
I feel like some of those things are kind of desperate.
Footnote this with how my brother arrived at Franklin when we went there.
Yes.
My brother, the ultimate bitch out move. He just how he's kind of walking into the 9th hour right now. We waited in a line since 7:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
And we wait in the whole fucking line. And we're in the door at Franklin. Like we're literally like almost at the counter. Like the line is moving. And my brother walks in, he pulls up when we're like 6 people away from them being at the cutting station.
Oh damn.
And rolls into the line and just finagles his way in and eats with us. And we had a prime spot, dude. Like we were like not eating too early. They weren't out of anything yet.
Oh man.
You know, they were like, dude, when we ate there, it was great, man.
Yeah. So the line starts moving, and we're growing along, and it's actually
Everything's fine. His
fine.
wife comes by with the pulled pork.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure if it's his wife. I checked the book again. I'm not quite sure.
I think it's his wife.
Let's go ahead and say it was his wife.
That's cool. His wife is very involved.
Yeah, and she was.
She cooks too.
Yeah, she was.
They're like a super culinary couple. The two of them.
You know, I've seen. I think when we were online on those like newspaper cutouts and magazine cutouts, I think there's a picture of the two of them.
Yeah.
So I'm almost positive that.
Yeah, I think
wife.
they're kind of partners.
Yeah. And
Yeah, she comes by with the pulled pork at like whatever 10:30 or something.
There's bits of pulled pork in the in a white bread wrap.
Oh, it's so fucking
that-
good. I
we
was just
have
like,
to
okay,
sample the
now,
pulled
you know, if I had any doubts that this might not kick my
Yeah,
ass,
that's what
like that's
changed.
just this little appetizer they throw you is already fucking incredible.
That flips
Yeah.
Lippy's switch. You're like, oh,
Well, and the
oh.
pulled pork is like that's like their third best thing.
Yeah,
too.
so good.
So,
I never had pulled pork close to being that good.
You'll never have anything as good as anything
So-
at Frank Lake.
Yeah.
But that's just shortly after that, I'm starting to feel kind of like I realized that I only had 2 hours of sleep, and I'm still recovering from the
With
day
the
that
three
was.
of you, you guys should have like parked close by and done like tags where you get out of line, take a little nap, get out of line, take
It's
a
not
little
necessarily
nap.
a bad idea. We did park kind of close. There's this park. There's like a little dirt.
You
center
just
where
don't want to
everybody
get
parks.
busted, you know, because I've heard Franklin can be shrewd. Like it was amazing, my brother, because
Yeah, I was gonna
usually
say,
they throw your
how do you
ass
get away
Well,
out.
with that?
it's a matter. It's a courtesy thing for everybody involved. Like
Apparently, like a year or two after they opened, that there was a whole phenomenon of because when I went there, the only person I know who's more into barbecue than I am is my uncle. He like had eaten at Franklin and Lockhart and shit years before I had been there.
Nice.
And he when I told him, my uncle's like kind of wealthy, and when I told him I was going to go wait in the line at Franklin, he's like, "Wait in the line? That's insane. You pay somebody to do that." You know, I was like, "What? I'm not paying somebody to wait in the line. That's a bitch move."
Like, what were you doing that you couldn't wait in line?
Well, no, you sleep. He would just, you know, he would
sleep.
get some rest.
Sleep's the thing you needed.
He would sleep. He's a businessman. He'd do business, and then he'd just roll up like 10 minutes before he wanted to eat, and the person that he was paying would just get out of the line and he would go eat. There was like a whole little community of people in Austin that would do that. They'd post Craigslist ads.
Yeah.
You know, we'll wait in line.
There was a
I'd
number.
do it for some free barbecue if I lived there.
Yeah,
I'd be like, okay, buy me lunch. I'll get up and
Yeah.
wait in the line, you know?
There was a number of things that were kind of lingering on, and I was starting to feel myself sort of sway back and forth, like kind of feel uneasy and just sort of like sort of, I wouldn't say squeamish, but like the smell. I was being triggered by the smell of the oak. That's
The thing
smoke.
that
That smoke coming out.
Killed Steve the day before.
Because that smoke. It just
You
lingers.
overdid it, man. The day before, you didn't prep your stomach and you overate.
And I thought,
You overdid it.
I feel like those moments in like junior high and high school where I thought I studied enough for a test and it just still got a D. Like that happened with math class all the time. Like I'd worked. I thought I did enough.
All right.
I thought I did enough.
All right, let's keep rolling here. We've gone over the Steve has crashed and burned at the.
Well, I'm
the
still not.
barbecue
We're still
gauntlet.
not done yet because
Okay,
like,
so you're in the line.
we're in the line
does
and
autograph.
we're coming up the ramp and it's just taking a little bit too. Obviously, it's taking a little bit too long, but like it's like you can't. You're at the point where you're not really sitting down anymore, and I'm still starting to feel kind of like uneasy now. At this point, I'm feeling kind of like some sort of between like a sort of a fever-esque sort of like nauseous stomach thing going on, where I'm just like I feel like I'm gonna lose it again, and then just sort of like not drinking enough water or something. And so
There was definitely a point where I thought Steve might just snap because he was making like very odd like jokes and just, just like, is Steve okay?
I make odd jokes already, but these were
they're
apparently
odd
like,
by Steve's standards.
yes,
Was as bad as the Clint and Kent joke?
it was
It
very
was-
close to it.
Yeah, absolutely. It was that tier, maybe
What
worse.
I forgot what the joke was.
You were asking Alex, who was on Twitter, to swipe right and making some like spiel about you always got to swipe right. We're just like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Oh yeah, I was making a thing like I was just talking in Tinder mode, and I was just like, dude, swipe right. You should swipe right, man. Like,
Yeah,
just
finally get
out of
some
nowhere,
water,
like,
and I think once we get in the door and you see the merch, things finally calm down a little bit. And
saw
it's
the
like,
goodness. Yeah, no, I basically like I was able to get some water. There's a bench you could sit down again. I think Franklin's, I forgot her name. But her Mrs. Franklin came up. Would you like a beer? I'm like, water would be great. I'm good. Like,
Oh yeah, the beer I got was fucking awesome.
so
Yeah,
like,
he's really into like
Austin
Texas.
works.
Yeah, I was not expecting
Beers.
that.
And not just
I'm not
fucking
sure if you
Lone
mentioned
Star.
that to us on the original pod, but yeah, I had no clue that the beer selection was gonna be so good.
Oh yeah, that's rare too.
Yeah, none of the
That's
other
all-
places I saw.
Yeah,
did I see that?
That's a Franklin thing.
Which
Yeah.
is another reason why he's the fucking best. You know?
Yeah, it's a modern. That's also like a modern barbecue thing.
Yeah.
Because the old guys would just be like, just have fucking Lone Star.
Yeah.
You know, Lone Star tastes like piss, dude. It's terrible. Shit, it's basically just watered down fucking high life. You know, it's like
Not much flavor to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was flashing in and out of like even through the queue inside. Like, okay, we're inside, but that smoke's still permeating like your nose and it's like getting into your system. You're like, "Arr." And then I think by the time I got right into the cutting line, actually, you know what happened? As soon as I said we have a rack of ribs left, I'm like, all right, like
Yeah,
we
they
made
told
it.
us
Like,
we weren't gonna get ribs probably.
like,
And then we
were like,
see
"Be
the
prepared
ribs
to not
there.
get
We're just like,
ribs."
yes.
I think that was the point where I'm like, I'm back. I'm back. Because I
the
was
ribs
still like,
revived you.
yeah, the ribs and the merch, I think. But
That'd be a good
They were
band
out of the
name.
turkey,
Rib,
unfortunately,
Rib
though.
Revival.
rib revival.
Steve's rib revival. Yeah, but unfortunately they didn't have a turkey. They just had the brisket, sausage, and that
Yeah.
one last
The
thing
dude
of
cutting
ribs.
it was awesome. You know, hey,
Oh,
man,
yeah.
like
Did you get? What about pulled pork?
they were out of pulled pork.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But we're kind of like content with that because we had the sampling in the line.
Yeah.
That's
We
cool.
got to
So-
try it anyway, so.
I ended up getting all three sides, and the key lime pie. I got and they were very happy that I ordered dessert. I think they were trying to support this bakery. I think that they are in, they work together with, so they were really like that kind of local neighborhood sort of vibe of like support our friends. It was awesome.
Yeah.
It was
I'd,
like it was kind of like crying like this was all worth it. I think that was actually Lippy came off kind of pissed. He's like, the thing that makes the worst thing about this whole thing is the line is actually worth it. It's not this sort of like overhyped, overrated, like over sensationalized line. that you get.
Everyone has the same
You're
experience.
just like
My dad was telling me when we were in the line, I was like, he's like, this can't possibly be worth it. And I'm like, Dad, everyone always says that, and then they say it's worth it, and he's like, I'm gonna be the first one to say it's not worth it.
Yeah.
You know? And then of course he was like, it's worth it. Everyone always has that experience because it's just such a tall order, man, to get there earlier, and they know it, and that's why they're so nice.
oh yeah.
Yeah, they're constantly coming by, being like, "How you guys doing?" You know.
Yeah.
Oh, they're right.
hang
You
in
guys
there.
read the name is slipping me. The pit master. Not
Hey, Dad, I was
Yeah.
just telling
Hey.
them about how they're doing a podcast on their trip to Austin to have barbecue.
yes. Yeah.
And I was just telling them about how you told me in the line that you were going to be the first one to say that the line wasn't worth it.
No, I told you I've never waited for 3 hours for food in my life, and there's no meal that could be possibly worth it. And these people behind us who were from LA said, "Well, wait till you get the food. This is our third time being here."
Nice.
So right after I bit into the brisket,
Yeah.
the woman and it was starting on the rib. This woman comes over and she goes, "Well, would you wait again?" What did I say, Dad?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've
So you guys both went to Austin?
Yeah.
Yeah, we went together.
Definitely a trip and a half.
Oh, it
Yes,
was awesome.
yes.
We had 6 barbecue joints in 4 days.
Well, the Lockhart is
Yes.
Yeah,
And
we did that the day before,
yeah,
frankly.
it almost took.
the problem.
It almost killed me. Like,
Johnny and Joe didn't even get up to come over to Franklin.
yeah, he just told us about that story.
Was my determination ever flounder? Did
Did you guys have chairs and?
Oh yeah, yeah, we were totally
You
prepared.
showed up with no chairs or anything.
Yeah,
Oh man.
we were totally
People were
prepared.
Really pros.
No,
Yeah.
my dad went to a
Ran down
thrift
to
store and he got,
a couple of chairs.
Yeah, you need
That
the
was
chairs.
the nice thing is you could like wait in line. Someone can get like breakfast burritos or something, and
They
like
turn on the fans and then they turn on.
Yeah.
you're not going to eat breakfast burritos in the line.
you are at 7 in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need I think holdover, like something to hold you over a little bit, so you're not. Yeah, because I think that was some of the problems for me in Lockhart was I didn't eat anything, and then boom, boom, boom. Like, yeah.
My uncle was a pit
thanks, Steven.
My uncle was basically a pit master. I mean, he was the guy that cooked all the barbecue at their restaurant.
Yeah.
And they had the restaurant, I think, for like 8 years or something. It's very hard to have a barbecue restaurant in Ventura.
Yeah.
It's really difficult. He turned me on to this really great spot in Georgia, Shortstop.
Mm-hmm.
It's a soul food place in Savannah that was like amazing. You know,
Nice.
you guys got to have some good Southern soul food.
Yeah,
next
I think
time.
that's next on the list.
Butter beans and collard greens.
He doesn't eat
and-
vegetables.
I'll eat the fried
Oh,
vegetables.
dude.
You know.
You gotta try, man. Like the southern vegetables, man. Butter
No,
beans.
I'll eat
they're
southern
not that.
vegetables.
They're not really.
Oh,
they're not
dude.
really.
Yeah, as long as they're
vegetables.
not good for me, I'm down to try them. You know?
Once you develop a taste for them, you'll like the collard greens is definitely an acquired taste.
Uh-huh.
They're a little bitter,
I kind
but they're meant to be consumed with meat.
Yeah.
Right.
know?
You don't just eat them on their own.
Yeah, you just eat them on their own, but oh man, yeah, I can recommend when you guys go to Louisiana, I can recommend some really good soul food. Yeah,
anyway,
so okay, so
Franklin.
you get there.
Yeah, we got. Yeah, basically the ribs
Brisket.
were just as good as you'd promised.
Oh, I could pull the meat off with my fingers. I was like, what the fuck is
Yeah,
this?
Those were the best
Yeah.
ribs I think I've ever had.
Yeah, hands down.
Yeah, they're really
The
good.
I think for me, like I was talking about, like the flat being kind of a true test of how good brisket cooking can be, because that's always the
Yeah.
part you're most likely gonna fuck up most of the time, because it is the driest or the leanest.
Yeah.
So it has the most potential to cook faster and dry out faster. So it's always like, and it was so. There's a picture of me on the Lost Beat 6 Instagram of like pulling it. It didn't really work out that well because I think it pulled the top of the bark off. But it was one of those like, just because that was that little finger test. You could barely
Pulled right
pull
apart.
it, yeah, without, but it's still it hangs. The tissue still holds it together, but by a thread. And you're like, that was that kind of like oh baby moment.
Oh, it was freaking awesome.
Yeah, they were.
That was
really
it. Then we
awesome.
had
They let us, and then just like I said, they're cool about letting you come in and see the smokers.
You
And
saw a different room than I did. Though.
Yeah.
It's all new.
even the cutting table room and the dining room is all
Spiffy and
spiffy
new.
and new. Yeah, I think the key lime pie was amazing. I know Franklin didn't make it, but it was fucking good.
That's great.
That was fantastic. And the sides, I think
Sides were awesome.
the beans were my favorite.
Beans were the
three
best
sides.
beans
The slaw
that
was good as well.
Had in Texas.
But I think the potato salad, I think because of the mustard and dill, I'm not quite on that level of.
Oh man, I love the potato salad there. That's my favorite thing.
I'm not, yeah, it's one of those things where it's like something can be great, but just not for me.
Yeah.
It's one of those moments.
Something about that potato salad with like some pulled pork, their pulled pork, and some white bread.
Yeah, I know, right?
Man, it's really good.
Any questions that you have for us and back and forth and recapping this whole thing? Because
You guys were pretty thorough, man. I mean,
like
Yeah, we fucking went hard.
kind of covered it.
yeah, 'cause I think the biggest thing we got out of it, I think, was when Eric had the epiphany about
Oh, yeah.
brisket,
I'm-
of what it could be.
I'm
and
all
the
on
potential of it.
board for brisket now.
Yeah, it's kind of the ultimate challenge. You know, brisket. It's
And just
definitely
the
the
time
hardest
it
thing.
takes, is just
Yeah, it's an incredible amount of
Yeah,
time.
it was-
I mean, my briskets take me 20 hours.
Yeah.
I think it's because my smokers are not. My smoker it doesn't have high enough quality metal to retain heat correctly.
Right. It's not like
So it just takes forever.
all their stuff.
He can do one in like 8 hours or 10 hours or
Yeah.
something.
I think it's 16 to 18 hours they're going for.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
yeah. They were saying in the smoke room they put them on at 11 a.m. for
This
the next
thing-
day. I think that sums up the beef trip. It was
yeah.
an amazing trip, and we got our asses kicked and had some great food. I really.
It was a beef triumph.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
I think it was the closest thing since like do you remember the Turtles in high school?
I was never a part of it, but yeah.
And that was like when like Truman and the wrestling team decided to do like
Then they go to
Nug-
Portland or something.
No, they did Nugfest.
Oh God, fucking Nugfest.
Where
Yeah,
they-
Calvin edited that video.
yeah, they did a Nugfest.
Each of them
in high
were
school.
gonna try to eat 50 chicken nuggets or 100 chicken nuggets.
Oh, the
in one
50
sitting.
feast?
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're like, I just remember like, and
Ugh,
and
that's
the
so
reason I
gross,
mention this
man.
is because
It was-
like
oh, yeah.
there's a conversation between Lippy and Truman. Truman's a friend of ours. He's like barely holding on to standing in the main lobby of McDonald's. Like, this was a triumph. he's like he couldn't even say triumph right. It's just like it was a triumph. So this was like a beef triumph. And
slurring our speech with how the beef kicked our asses. But yeah,
you're
Kickstarter to talk about.
we gotta talk about your Kickstarter.
Oh yeah.
I'll cut most of that barbecue stuff out.
There was some good stuff.
There's plenty of good stuff. Probably keep like 2% of it or something.
2%. That's it.
I think we got a good half.
It would be just. It's gonna be like
we're gonna keep just the part where your dad's there and you can't hear.
I'd cut out all the part about you getting sick, man.
Yeah. I was like, how was Smitty's? It was good. How was Chris? It's good.
It's good.
And then how was Black's? Yeah.
Are you gonna Rick Rubin it?
No, that's Kevin Duranting it.
Yeah, no, he did this podcast.
You're like driving back and forth Texas, and he was just like,
no.
He was so drunk on this podcast.
Yeah, he was just drinking wine. I think they were hitting a dry pipe.
Yeah.
You could just hear this lighter
Hitting
go
a
off.
dry pipe. Oh, okay.
You can hear these flickers. No one mentions it on any sportscast.
I know, right? I thought they would. It happened like a dozen or more times.
He was like milking like he was hitting resin hits.
No. No. So you just finished. You and John just finished a new record.
We did.
And it's called It's called Barrelhouse Boys, right?
Yep.
Freaking great name.
It's the best name I've heard in a long time.
Like that name.
Yeah.
It's good shit.
Which is it's about a lot of what you guys were just talking about.
Fuck yeah.
You know.
It's about beefing it.
Yes.
So is the album out yet? It's coming out soon, or
it's coming out May 11th, and we're trying to raise some money to press it on vinyl. That's why we're doing the Kickstarter.
That's awesome.
Which we're pretty excited about.
So if you search Barrelhouse Boys on Kickstarter, it'll take you to a link.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Or I think Delta's new album.
I think either one will get you to it.
And we'll include a link with the podcast to
cool.
to the Kickstarter.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, it should be good, man. I'm excited about it. I'm. It's nice to complete a body of work.
How long have you been working on the album for?
I mean, I've probably been writing songs for it for about 2 years, and then we probably started recording it like a year and a half ago.
And was the recording all done in this room here?
Yep.
Nice. That's
Steven
a great
was
room.
here for much of it. It was good, man. We the last session that we did here for the last track on the album was this thing we did with this when you guys were in Texas. We tracked this bluegrass ensemble.
Oh, nice.
You know, that we kind of created for the last track on the album, and that was really fun. That was really interesting to do that.
And so it was who was in the ensemble? Was it just you and
me and my brother playing harmonica and kick drum, and then I was playing acoustic guitar. We were both singing, and then we had our producer Tommy played dobro, and we got Connor Vance from Dust Bowl Revival to come play fiddle.
Nice.
And it was really good. It was really fun. We set up a whole kind of stoner setup in here. Turn off the lights, fired up all my salt lamps.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I have a picture somewhere. It was really cool. I tried to kind of create a vibe. I had recorded a bunch of bands in here the same kind of way. I always wanted to do a session of ours like that. So that was
That's the
cool.
kind of gather around a center mic sort of thing.
Yeah, I'd always wanted to do that in here, and it was cool. Yeah, we've been working on the album kind of day and night. So to finish up the last little bit of it and finish up the artwork and do the mixes. So I'm pretty tired at the moment.
Yeah, you're a trooper for pulling this out with us.
Oh yeah, of course, man. I wouldn't have missed it. I wanted to hear about your Barba ventures.
Yeah. And they're only just beginning because I think we got.
I think there were more misadventures than adventures, really.
I think, yeah. It goes with the,
it's our first time, man.
Master Quolo's Oriental Misadventures.
Still have to work on that one.
Memphis would be a big one.
Yeah, Memphis, I think,
you guys
definitely
really
be
should
next.
try and go to Memphis.
I like how you were saying the vibe is completely different.
Oh yeah, it's what's crazy is that we've been on so many tours where we've hit both because we're just always passing through. We don't go to Memphis so much anymore because the gigs there for us weren't so great, which I'm sad about. I used to really love going there. I I wanted to go back there. It kind of was.
I almost-
And the
shitty that
barbecue.
that
It
happened.
almost feels there was more
Yeah.
things to do in those towns, this other than the fact that you're playing shows there. I think that was like an excuse to go there, if, to enjoy the town and whatnot. This other than the fact that you're playing shows there. I think that was like an excuse to go there, if, to enjoy the town and whatnot.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
seemed
well,
that way. Like, let's go. We're gonna play
my brother
do
just
the
started
Bluebird
bitching
one.
at me because he would be like, what are we doing? What are we just going on the road so you can go have barbecue in Memphis? But it's so but yeah, I come to that from saying, yeah, it's such a dramatically different vibe because I mean Memphis really particularly, I guess Memphis would be a little bit more akin to Kansas City, where just the culture is just, barbecue stems, it's all from various varieties of poor people. I mean, I think the unfortunate background of barbecue in places like Memphis and Kansas is that it unfortunately comes from a heritage of slaves. Which there's an interesting
Just slightly
interview.
different from the German Czech immigrant Central Texas thing. No, or is that
Yeah,
sort of-
well, I think with Texans, it comes from the tradition of cattle ranchers.
right.
And they just had such an abundance of beef there that it made sense for them to have these really elaborate meat markets.
Yes.
At the time, it was just very difficult for them to sell brisket, and they'd have this back order of all this meat that they couldn't sell, and so they
Right.
started cooking it and going, hey, there's actually, if you want to go to a really cool place, that's another place in California that kind of is still functioning in that tradition, which is kind of cool, is Jim's. I can't believe I've never
What city?
mentioned Jim's. It's in Canoga Park.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
That's not
And
far.
it's a great meat market,
Okay.
and they have a barbecue there on weekends.
Oh, nice.
There we go.
That's
Let's check that out.
that's really quite good.
It
Actually,
reminds me of Lombardo's when they do that. They bring out the Santa Maria smoker for Santa Maria pit for their tri-tip in town.
yeah. It's
Yeah, 'cause that's a meat market deli that my favorite sandwich in Camarillo is in Lombardo's.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's,
good sandwich.
yeah. It's very easy to see how that tradition kind of comes about. They're just trying to get rid of some meat.
Yeah,
Is what it really comes down to.
but it's slightly different than say the more.
Yeah, Memphis is definitely from. The unfortunate the reality of it is slave owners giving their slaves the meat that they didn't want to eat.
Yeah.
And then these people being put with the task of like, okay, well, how are we going to make this shoe into something that we want to dine on?
Right.
And there's a great interview with Charlie Virgos, who owns Rendezvous in Memphis, talking about that.
Yeah.
And which is why it's so annoying to me when I go into a barbecue restaurant and it's like white tablecloths and stuff like that, because it's like, it's just not what that food came from.
Like
you
kind of
know?
like the maple block in Culver sort of
Yeah,
thing. where
yeah,
it's
yeah.
A little
It's
more
too
high
fancy,
Yeah.
It's
I
not
love
supposed
just
to be
like-
like that. Like,
We're at Cooper's and we're like, or I think somewhere where they go, can we get like a to-go box? Like a styrofoam, it's like, you got the butcher paper right there. Just wrap it up with the butcher paper and go.
Yeah.
What the f-
yeah, that's the way to go.
Yeah.
That's the best.
In every single place we ate on butcher paper. It was fantastic.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, that's the way to go. Franklin's the same way.
Smitty's, no forks. They have that sign everywhere. They don't have forks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, the food is expensive because it has to be now, because the market for meat has changed and
Right.
it's more expensive now. I think the people that really fucked that up for us were some of the big restaurant chains. They said that single-handedly, like Chili's.
Really?
Yeah, because
For ribs or for beef?
for ribs.
Okay.
Like the reason that like when you like in the 70s, my dad and my uncle used to tell me that like in the 70s, you used to be able to get a rack of ribs like wholesale very inexpensively.
Yeah.
Because it was just not something that a lot of people wanted to cook. It wasn't seen as like expensive.
Right.
But
Kind of
they
like the
had that
NFL with
whole
chicken wings.
Yeah, the whole marketing campaign with the Chili's. Yeah, they fucked everybody on that. It's sort of
Wow.
like Guitar Center
Fuck you,
buying up
Chili's.
all the vintage guitars.
Yeah.
It's like that. Just it kind of it inflated the market artificially, unfortunately. So I mean, it still has to be expensive, because meat is expensive. But you got to curate the right kind of experience
That's true.
with it, and you shouldn't. It should feel like a place where anybody who has the money to spend on it is welcome there.
Definitely.
It shouldn't be snobbery at a barbecue
It's
restaurant.
just an interesting concept too, because that's sort of how most of the great sort of dishes we all love is because it had to be good. Like a lot of the French stuff
Using these cuts of meat that
Well, I think
like ratatouille is like one of the most famous dishes, and that's just like we have these vegetables that we
peasant
need to cook.
food,
Peasant food.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, not to get too grandiose, but I think that all good art, and I think that good barbecue is art,
definitely
comes from people who have been oppressed.
Yeah.
you
That was
know,
our thesis.
or
That was like that thesis statement when we went to school in world music.
Was it?
Yeah, that was one of those like early thesis like concepts that every single major musical movement came from an oppressed or ostracized group of people.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's something really important for people to remember. People always want to, especially lately, and not to get all political, but the political climate
Shut it off. We're done here.
it's gotten to the point where people are so anti-Southerner, and
very true.
And I
Don't have the best rep right now.
Yeah, they're catching a lot of heat right now, and a lot of rural American people are catching a lot of heat. And I think that people forget too much that like a critical part of the American experience is all the things that come from Southern culture.
American culture, a lot of it is Southern American culture.
Yeah.
I was telling Eric when we were driving.
It's like,
we were driving through Texas. We're driving into Llano and like into the country, and I go, man, I wouldn't want the government fucking with me out here either, man. It made sense to own a gun. It made sense to not want to worry about other, worry about like welfare moochers or whatever. Like it all made sense when you're out in the middle of nowhere, man.
It's like I think it's important sometimes you can disagree with people but still understand their point of view.
Yeah.
Like
I'm being facetious to a point.
They look at things differently than we do.
Yeah.
They have a different point of view, and I think that the fast track to changing their mind is at least understanding where they're coming from.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. No, it's not just, all right, we're on this side, you're on that side, no compromise, fuck you, wrong side of history. You're not going to get anywhere with that attitude.
The wrong side of history, it's the current year. That's one of those pet peeves we have. It's like, it's 2018, man. Come on, we got to get with the times. They go, and last year it was 2017. We're supposed to get with the times. The year before
those times
that,
are coming.
It's like, there's a lot of progress being made, but it's also just like it's a slow evolution.
Yeah, tech's evolving faster than society, so people are tricked into thinking society should move that fast. It's like, no, that culture doesn't change that quick.
Yeah.
It takes a
tech's moving at this crazy pace, so I think it's just giving us this warped version or warped perspective on how things in society should develop.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Well, I think on that note, thank you very much
for meeting us. Up here,
it's been a great pod.
Yeah, we had to go into politics there at the end. I think I always just bring that around with barbecue because it's just like you got to remind yourself that all of that comes from there. Oh yeah, something I should talk about with the barbecue thing, with the Kickstarter and all that shit. I am gonna make my own rub for the Europe tour.
Oh shit!
So
you're selling the rub on the tour.
Yes, I am gonna make my own rub.
That's fucking awesome.
What's your package? You have a packaging.
I'm working on it right now. So I got it. We just had to get the
details to come soon.
That's the thing is like that's one of those things. You'll probably make more money on hot sauce and rub than music now. As a merch at the merch table.
It was so funny.
That's such a cool thing. Like, we have
I bought this book, this online book on Kindle that was it was like how to make a living in the music industry.
Is this the Ari Herstand book?
No.
Oh, okay, good.
It was another book. And I started reading it. I'm like, okay, this is kind of interesting. Like the guy's talking big game. And the first whole chapter is just this big elaborate introduction. And I'm like, all right.
I think you told me about this.
Yeah, and then I get to the second chapter. It's like chapter 2. Diversifying.
Oh, that's right. You didn't tell me about this.
And it's all about like how you should bring other shit on the road to sell other than music. It's basically just like how to just make a living just doing other shit. You know, it's
Right.
it's like,
Take your other hobbies and try to try to
it's like-
make
Sell the
some money.
non-music things.
I'm like, this is what I want. I bought a fucking book on this shit, so you can tell me to sell hot sauce on the road. What the fuck, man?
If you have a good hot sauce, it might be worth trying. But like,
I've looked into making hot sauce. It's not worth it.
all right, well, thanks again for
Yeah, man.
having us up here,
And for the
just-
advice
just
for the trip.
The advice. We'll
Yeah,
do more
good.
of this.
Yeah,
you know.
next big trip, you're our go-to guy.
Yeah, maybe you guys can meet me out there one of these days.
Oh, that would be awesome.
We're gonna be in Mississippi, I think, in like August or something.
I don't think I'll meet you in the swamp in August, but maybe a better time of year. I'm down.
I'm always out there.
That's the problem is he's not. If we're gonna find a
I'm
good
always
time of
there
year, they're probably
sometime.
back here
Yeah.
doing
Dude,
something else.
that's like the real deal, though, man. Like it's